Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Spin It Social Hour. My name is Stefan Kaplan, and I am a social media and visual strategist. And I welcome you to this great hour and discussion about photography and social media. I am thrilled to be here because the Spin It Social Hour is a labor of love born out of care and concern for our photo community. And the sports photography community has been hit especially hard. And today, I am really honored and thrilled to bring on a friend and a great photographer that I know named Justin Berl. And we will bring Justin on shortly. But first, let me also ask everybody and simply say, I hope everyone is doing really well. I know this has been a really long struggle right now between the pandemic and the economic crisis. And I simply want you to know that I am thinking of you all, and I hope your families, yourselves, and everybody out there is doing well. So, I am a social media and visual strategist, and I have worked with many big brands, including the Pulitzer Prizes, AARP, Encore.org. I work with my colleague Sri Srinivasan a lot in our DigiMentors group. We do tons of live productions. And cover everything under the sun these days, and always looking for more projects to work on, including myself. So here I am as a social media visual strategist, an executive coach, and many other things, but here for the photo community because I realized, like I said, when this pandemic hit, they were getting hit hard. And I had to do something personally to reach out, get their name out there, get their work out there. And today is no exception with Justin Berl. I'm so happy to have him here. I want to make a quick mention to my sponsor for the show, Emilio Pardo. Find him on Twitter at PardoQuest. Emilio, one of my guiding lights in life, great branding expert out there. We work on a lot of things together. Thank you, Emilio, for sponsoring the show. So I want to give Justin the build-up he deserves. So here we go. Okay, enjoy his work, everyone. Let's have the banners off, and here we go. Mike Singletary, the great Chicago Bears Hall of Famer, once said, "Do you know what my favorite part of the game is? The opportunity to play." Many sports photographers feel the same way about capturing the game. Today, my guest is Justin Berl, a sports and news freelance photographer based in Pittsburgh. Justin has done incredible work in sports photography, capturing amazing moments with the Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and NCAA teams. Justin also has extensive photo editing experience, having edited for Getty Images at Steelers games and the Stanley Cup Finals. I am thrilled to have my friend Justin Berl here today, so please give him a warm welcome. Justin, hey. How are you?
Good, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, man, I'm doing just great. And, you know, it's wonderful having you here. And it's the wonders and the beauty of social media, once again, working its magic. So the thing is that, you know, by doing this and connecting with everybody, you stay in touch with everybody. I originally knew your brother, Bobby Berl, great NYPD detective. And it was an honor to know him and have worked around him. And he introduced me to you because if I remember correctly, your dad, which we'll talk about, used to work at, was it the U.S. Open, right?
Yeah. The U.S. Tennis Open every year.
US Tennis. That's right. So
developing film.
That's right. So your brother Bobby had given me my first photo film vest way back in the days, film. And yeah, I just dated myself big time. And then we kept in touch through social media, and here you are. So, you know, Justin, tell everybody a little about yourself as we get started.
Oh, that's hard. You know, well, I'm not a big talker, but yeah, I've been freelancing now for Getty since 2016. Now I just took my love of sports and turned it into a career.
Right.
I freelance for Getty. I freelance for Robert Morris University, plug for the Colonials.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I just took my love of sports and now it's my career.
Okay. You know, one thing I always do, just in case, because sometimes we're not thinking when we're on live streams and we're just, you know, it happens, is make sure that we're both of us looking up at the camera of the camera on the setup. So this way we're looking straight at the audience. We want to give them our full attention. They're here for us. They're here for you. And we want to make sure they get the best of Justin Berl today. So anyway, we're going to be telling people about your work. Obviously, you've been published in many different outlets. I think I've listed so many, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, the magazine, and on and on. So one of the things that I want to ask you right off the bat, Justin, is how did you get started in photography, and what was the experience that changed the way you viewed photography and made you say, this is for me?
I got my start by like what we were talking about before. My dad, he worked at the U.S. Open every year, developing film for Fuji, and this is all before 9/11. Basically, I would just be able to walk up, and my dad and the people that he worked with would just be like, yeah, he's with us. I was like 15, 16 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So just able to get in and just sit and watch tennis and see like the behind the scenes stuff where like cutting negatives and just the atmosphere of being in a lab / dark room.
Right.
And then through that, my dad met people from the Associated Press.
Uh-huh.
They always needed film runners to run out in the court to grab film from the photographers and bring it back to the dark rooms.
Oh yeah.
So when I was about, I think 15, 16-ish, like around that time, that's when the Associated Press hired me to run film, and I did that from 15 until 30.
Wow.
So yeah, like went from film negatives to memory cards.
Well, see, that's a good thing. You saw you experienced. Yeah, you experienced the evolution, and you were in the thick of it. And there's nothing better that I've always said than being on the streets or being at a venue and learning how to do this around so many pros and feeling everything that you're around. I mean, you learn so much, right?
Oh, 100%. Like, before I moved to Pittsburgh in 2010, I was thinking about going to photo school.
Okay.
I actually spoke to people that I've known for years at the U.S. Open, and they're like, why are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've gained so much experience just working with us here,
right,
and being on the field. Like, you don't need to go into debt.
Right.
Like, you have the experience. It's just a
right.
a matter of developing it more so.
100%, my man. Absolutely. I mean, I learned so much just running the streets when I was documenting the job and your brother and other things back in the days. What I learned, I could write a book about. I mean, just on street photography, but there's many greats out there. They don't need to read my book, but it's okay. I'd rather do this show and have you guys on and promote you guys.
But yeah, so I started to work for the Associated Press, just running film every year. And photography was never, like, I enjoyed doing that stuff, but it was never something that, like, I thought, like, well, let's make it a career. Like, I worked at Jerry Cosby's inside Madison Square Garden.
You did? Oh, wow. Okay.
Selling hockey jerseys and baseball jerseys and sharpening ice skates.
I probably bought a jersey from you once. I didn't even know you were.
But yeah, so I did that. I worked in an office. I went to LaGuardia Community College on Island City for a while, just liberal arts, trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then
I mean, there's always that moment. I mean, you can't always pinpoint it, but I mean, obviously it grabbed you at a certain point and it just said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, It
got to the point where I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Like, right. I even thought about being a teacher. I took the NYPD test to become a cop like my brother.
Okay.
But none of those things, like, felt right.
Yeah. No, well, that's that you gotta go with your passion, Yeah,
so I finally got a Nikon D100, and I just actually even before that I got an old Nikon film camera, and I used to coach roller hockey back in Queens, So like I bring the camera to the games and just kind of just mess around and just like shoot the kids I coached and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. And then I moved up from that film camera to a digital camera.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Started doing more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was about 2008, no,
Okay.
2009.
Okay.
I got my first real bona fide DSLR, a Nikon
Ooh.
D3.
Ooh, doesn't that feel good?
It did, until I had to pay Bobby back for it. and at that time, like it was just yeah, Bobby, let me borrow $5,000 because I want to buy this camera and see what I can do.
I would love to have seen his face when you asked him that question.
So yeah, I did that. I got that, and then I bought a 70-200. And we had season tickets for the Mets
Right.
when they moved to Citi Field.
Yeah.
We didn't have, well, my parents had them before I was born at Shea.
Sure.
So I would bring my 70-2 and my D3 to Met games, and like that was when the Mets weren't very good in 2009, and you can get front row tickets for like $10.
Right.
Like,
wow. $10 for a baseball ticket, man. Yeah. Oh man. Woo.
So my friend and I, who was also into photography, we would both bring our cameras to games and just shoot in the stands. And then it slowly developed. And then that summer at the U.S. Open, I was assigned with photographer Kathy Willens. She's a great AP photographer. She's from New York. She lives in Brooklyn. Yeah. So we were out on a side court somewhere, like court 17 or something at the U.S. Open.
Okay.
And a girl from Canada, Stephanie Dubois. I'll never forget. She won her first Grand Slam match.
Okay.
Where we were, Kathy was blocked from getting where Kathy was. She was blocked from getting the right angle on the girl celebrating after her first win. Okay. I was just standing there, and she looked right at me, like boom, like right there, like whole fist bump celebration. And with my D3 and my 70-2, I fired off a couple frames and got it.
Great.
And and after the match, we're walking back to the workroom, and I'm chimping on the back of my camera, and Kathy's like, what'd you get? And like I show her, and she's like, yeah, we're gonna give your memory card to the people inside. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
She's like, I got it. She's like, no. She's like, I didn't get it. She's like, you got it. So go in, and she's like, Peter Morgan, who is, I'm pretty sure it was Peter at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, give us your card. So they ingest it, and they look, and they found the one frame, and they're like, yeah, we want this to send on the wire because Kathy didn't have it. So
yeah, no, listen. As I always say, get the picture. I don't care who gets it. Get the picture. Yeah. So of course, you want your people to get the picture, but whoever gets the picture, that's the most important thing. And you nailed it.
That was the point where it all clicked in me. It clicked. Like, you know what? I might be somewhat good at this.
Yeah, you got the rush, man. You got the rush. You got the buzz. You caught the fever, as I say.
Yeah, that was 2009. The next year, I went back, and still same thing. They let me take my camera out.
Right. And
I think the next year I had 3 or 4 photos on the wire.
Okay.
And then it was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
And boom, there you go, man. Your path took off, right?
That was 2009.
Okay.
And then 2010 at the U.S. Open, I was there. Same thing. I don't think I had any photos on the wire that year.
Okay.
But just talking to people, the Mets were still pretty crappy. And a friend of mine who knew me at the U.S. Open from when I first started,
right,
is friends with the Mets team photographer. And I just said, yeah, I'd love to shoot a Met game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, let me see what I can do. One of the last days of U.S. Open, he's like, when do you want to shoot a Met game?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, the Pirates are coming. I'm going to be moving there in 5-6 months. It's like, so I was like, all right, let me get a credential for the Pirates, and it was September 16th, 2010. It was my first credentialed Major League Baseball game.
You never forget that, right?
I actually have the scorecard. I bought it, and I have my passes there somewhere in my office. But yeah, that was my first. Wow. That was my first game, and I actually looked at that game the other day in my tape to send you stuff. Oh my god, I was horrible. Like shooting baseball at like 1/200th of a second, and terrible motion blur, and just I'm looking at it and I'm like,
you learn, man. You learn. You know,
it was my first game. Like,
right, sure. Hey, so, you learn. So based on all that, here we are now, years later. And I wanted to ask you, the shutdown of we're going through a really hard time right now. And that's one of the reasons I want to have all these photographers on, including yourself, and, help to spread the word about you guys and the work you do, because it's important, because this is a tough time. And the shutdown of major sports teams initially sent shockwaves throughout the country and the world. But it also truly signaled how serious this pandemic was. How did the sports world and you react? I mean, can you, in general, I mean, how do you, what did that say to you? I mean, wow, it must have been like, good Lord. I mean, everything's shutting down,
Basically, I saw money going down the drain.
Yeah.
But it was weird because we had heard so much about it in February, but like, it didn't click in a lot of people's heads,
right?
Especially like mine,
right?
Like I worked throughout February. First week in March every year for the Colonials, I travel. I'm a team photographer for men's and women's hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey the first week in March. Their conference tournaments in Buffalo, so I travel with the team to Buffalo. We're 30 of us on a bus and in a hotel in Buffalo, and not thinking anything of it, just kind of seeing it on news, coronavirus, COVID.
Right.
But it didn't click. It didn't dawn on any of us, me specifically, until I developed a sinus infection when I was there. We came home on a Saturday. I went to urgent care on Sunday because my doctor couldn't get me in. And the first question they asked is, have you been out of the country? And I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you been around anyone who's been exposed to this COVID-19? And I'm like,
right.
I don't know. And then that was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days later, the Colonials men's basketball team was playing in their conference tournament, and the talk got higher and higher about stuff shutting down. And I don't remember the exact dates, but spring training might have already been shut down, or the NBA might have already said, when Rudy Gobert got tested positive. Excuse me. So go out and shoot the basketball game that night. About a day or two later, I read on Twitter that one of the referees from the game was tested positive for it. So we all got a phone call from the media relations department saying, there is truth to that. The referee tested positive for it.
Mm-hmm.
Every media member should self-quarantine for 14 days.
Mm-hmm. So
I basically sat in my house for the next 14 days because I shook hands with people. Like the referee shook hands with the head of media relations. When I was leaving, I thanked the media relations guy like I always do, and I shook his hand.
Right. So yeah, you had to take all the precautions necessary. So, but
and then after that, that's when everything else started to happen. Like baseball got shut down.
Right.
So, if this was a regular day, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would be getting ready to go down to the ballpark to shoot the Boston Red Sox versus the Pittsburgh Pirates today.
Right. And that's the thing, one of the things about having you on today, of all things, I was like, wow, this is kind of, fitting in one way and also tragic in another, because, there's all these things that should be taking place, but unfortunately we can't. We have to continue doing what we're doing, and we have to continue to, persevere with social distancing, physical distancing, and everything else to make sure we get through this pandemic and help each other. But yeah, it's been crazy. And, but following up on that, let me ask you. So let's get to some of your photography now. Let me go to this wonderful. By the way, folks, before we go to that, I just want to let you know we're here at the Spin It Social Hour with Justin Berl, a great sports photographer who freelances with Getty Images. My name is Stefan Kaplan. I'm the host of the show and the creator of the show. And I just want to let you know that about halfway through the show, in about another 10 minutes, we'll be taking questions. So don't think that we have not seen your questions. We will take any questions. Also, why don't we do a quick little tour from some beginning comments to acknowledge a bunch of our viewers, because it would be great to let them know that we know they're here and we appreciate them very much. Also, please share this broadcast with your friends and family and everybody out there. So I know I saw Tim Sohn earlier say hello, and many other people. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the Spin It Social Hour. And let's bring up some of Justin's work as we also show some of those. So here we go. Let's go here and let's find this wonderful, wonderful work that we have ready. And let me take you through some of these amazing photographs that Justin has taken over the years. And I have to tell you, Justin, I'm a big fan of your work. I think you nail some amazing shots, and we're going to go through some questions about photography as we go through some of these. This is one of my favorites. I had to lead this off. It must be some thrill to take photos of such great sports teams as the Pirates, the Steelers, the Penguins.
Yeah. I think I've told you this in the past. Like, I knew I was never going to play for the Knicks, never going to play for the Rangers, never going to play for the Mets. So I took my love of sports and made it a career.
That's right.
I'm blessed to be doing
well. It goes to that quote that I read when I was narrating your work that Mike Singletary said. And do you know what my favorite part of the game is? The opportunity to play. And I think that really stands for photographers too, because, for us as photographers, it's like playing. It's being in that zone and capturing those moments that everybody will be able to look at for years and years to come.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for me, it's all about moments.
So let me ask you, Justin, are you drawn to team sports more than individual? Oh, we've got Peter De Silva watching, one of the greats out there from San Francisco. Welcome, Peter. Thank you. A previous guest. Peter's an amazing photographer. Suda Parek's watching from the Hudson. Ms. Parek, you are an ardent, big supporter, and I so appreciate it, and so do we in general. Justin, are you drawn more to team sports than individual sports?
Not really. Here in Pittsburgh, it's more team sports, like, because we have football, we have baseball, we have soccer, we have all the NCAA teams. There's not many individual sports here. Like, we don't have a tennis tournament that could come in where it would just be one player. Last year, though, I was able to shoot and edit for the NCAA at NCAA wrestling. Individual sport, which was pretty interesting. I never shot wrestling before. Excuse me. Yeah, it's individual sports are a whole different animal than team sports.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that, I wanted to ask you was, what is the difference between photographing a team in action and sort of photographing an individual in action? And how do you track? I mean, sports photographers are so amazing. I mean, you guys have to be so hyper focused, so on point, know your settings beyond belief. And I'm sure it becomes like second nature to you. But how do you track the action in a team sport as opposed to paying attention to one person?
A lot of it comes down to knowing the sport. And football, it's ball's gonna go back to the quarterback, and quarterback is the director of the choir, so to speak, where everything funnels off of him. So with to track football, it's watch the quarterback, see what the quarterback's going to do.
Right.
And also knowing if it's first down, more than likely, like they're gonna run the ball to kind of set up the offense.
Right.
So then you try to focus in on the running back, who's going to get the handoff. Individual sports, obviously, it's just you're just looking at that one person, and just figuring out what they're going to do. Like with tennis, it all starts with the serve.
Right.
You have if you have a big server, you know he's going to try to ace the ball. And if you have someone like Roger Federer, you know it's going to be a good serve, and then he's just going to try to pick apart his opponent with different shots, dropping shots here or dropping shots there, and then it's just capturing the motion of him moving around.
Hey, let's have that question from Mark Lee. That was a great one. So Mark asks, how do you photograph multiple field events? I'm thinking track when there are often various competitions going on, or tennis when there are multiple matches going on at the same time. How does that, work?
It also depends on the outlet you're working for.
Right.
I've never shot track. I love, that's actually on my list. I'd like to do that eventually. Okay. But for like tennis, like I said, all depends on the outlet you're working for. When I was at the AP, there'd be 3 or 4 photographers, and there'd be one photographer on, using the Open as an example. There'd be one photographer on Arthur Ashe, the main court. There'd be another photographer that would jump back and forth between the grandstand and Louis Armstrong Stadium.
Okay.
Then there'd be another photographer who would handle all the courts outside.
Right.
And then it's just we'd have a list, and it'd be like the big name people would be circled, and like that you knew you had to get. And if they got down, then you kind of had to switch and go, all right, now I got to shoot the other guy more, because there's a chance that the big rank player is going to get upset. So it takes a lot of planning, and also flying by the seat of your pants.
Right. And of course, nothing beats just the pure experience of having done so many matches and so many events that it becomes second nature to you after a while. So I had to stop on this photo for a while. I'm trying, I want to take my time going through more of the photos with you guys, because there's so many great photos, and I tend to hit the keys a little fast sometimes, and I'm a fast one that way. But I had to stop on this one because, man, I got to tell you, I want this on my wall. I grew up being a huge Steelers fan. During the Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, days and everything else. And I have to tell you, I've always loved Steeler country, and I love the black and gold. I'm a big football fan in general. I don't pick one specific team. I just love a great game. This photo is amazing. I love this moment. I mean, it's that moment in football,
TJ Watt, who number 90, he's a big emotion guy. Like, if you go back to the first photo of the slideshow, where I'm pretty sure the first photo from the slideshow was after he got a sack. He usually runs the opposite way from where he got the sack, and he does that leg kick. And this, I don't remember if this was a sack or just a big, maybe a third down tackle. He just ran and just jumped. And even during player introductions, he'll come out, he will jump up in the air like nobody's business.
Well, people forget, the amazing vertical leaps and other things that these athletes have, no matter how big some of them are, and the speed and the agility. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, but you're also really great at capturing lighting. I mean, this is just beautiful, because it's really hard, as I want you to tell people, with all those bright lights behind the players coming out of the tunnels and fireworks and smoke. I mean, how do you get a great image like this with all that going on at once?
It's basically just hoping and praying that that you can like that he comes out like sometimes like that you can see the smoke from the back. If they pump too much smoke, it all starts drifting out, and he would be just completely covered in smoke.
Right.
It's not so much me. It's what the attendants who set off the smoke do.
Right.
You're at their mercy, so to
Right.
speak.
No, you really are, aren't you? So, one of the things that really interests me about sports photography is, so I wanted to ask you this. I mean, you do so much sports photography. Do you experiment a lot with video by any chance?
I just started dabbling a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but not too much.
Okay. Just curious.
Like I've spoken to you, like I had a drone for like 4 days, and it just wasn't for me. I got rid of it.
I had a drone 2 years ago with our son, and we flew right into a tree, and that about did it for me too. But
for me, being so close to the airport that it wouldn't fly. So
smart move. But tell us, Justin. The emotion of the game. I mean, it's such an incredible thing to capture. You go from that great photo of players coming out of the tunnel to these moments of wow. I mean, I love the classic uniform here, and the emotion on
Roethlisberger,
and just sitting there like, oh man, he just got me again. Darn. I'm sure he didn't say darn. I'm sure it was a few other expletives that came out of his mouth.
Sure. But no,
what a great photo. And then, of course, you photographed so many of the other greats, too, that have visited Steeler country, including Brady, who's I mean, what's there to say about this guy? I mean, love him or hate him, the guy's just, amazing. I mean,
he's just strictly business. Like,
he's all business, man. He's all business, and love him or hate him, whatever your feelings are, folks. You gotta give props.
This was 2 or 3 years ago. They came in and it was actually a really tight game, if I remember. Just back and forth, and then Brady did his Brady magic.
Right.
In the fourth quarter, he put the dagger in the Steelers, and then he was coming off the field. Back when I was just editing, I wasn't I would only shoot like the first series and then the end of the game. So I had my 24-70 on a body just to get players coming off the field.
Okay.
And here comes Brady, and fans are yelling at him, chirping him, and he just lets out this scream, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, he's a fierce competitor, man. Who did he just go to?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Wow, man.
Him and Gronkowski.
Yeah, and what's really wild for sports fans is that Cam Newton went to the Patriots.
Yeah.
This is going to be if we ever get the season underway in the future.
What kind of stinks though is Steelers are supposed to play the Bucs in the preseason this year in week 1, which according to news reports they're going to do away with at least weeks 1 and 4 of the preseason. So I won't get to see Tom Brady this year.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't know where things are going right now. I don't think anybody does. But you know what? Let's just breathe a deep collective breath and just hope for the best for everybody. Mainly everybody's health. That's number one. We want to make sure that all the athletes and fans and everybody stay safe. So we'll do what we have to do. But let's talk sports photography. Let's talk the greatness of you and the greatness of capturing the moment of somebody as brilliant as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. He's just so good. and I didn't realize until recently that like his dad's a Met. His dad played for the Mets.
Yep.
Like I remember the name, but like it never clicked on me.
Yeah.
And then, this is his rookie season. He just came in and just shredded the Steelers defense.
Wow.
Which they were in a rebuilding year. I got to give him that.
Yeah.
But
I have to tell you, it must be electric being on the field. I mean, it's one thing to watch him and feel that electricity and that enthusiasm and that wow moment, but man, being there on the field and capturing these moments must send a jolt through you too at times.
Yes and no. Like when I first started, it was more like that.
Okay, that's fair.
But now it's just it's work.
Yeah.
People don't real like right. Everyone's always like that. Like
right.
You oh my god, you get to be on the field, but like they don't see that I'm there for a 1 o'clock Steeler game. I'm there at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I gotta get my computer set up, or if I'm editing, I gotta get my computer set up and everyone else's computer set up to get me the images I need to get out.
Yeah.
And then then the game starts and then game ends and I'm still there for an hour or 2 hours after.
That's right.
Like you always see that 4-hour window on that is shown on TV.
Correct.
But they don't see the 4 or 5 hour windows on the outside.
No, hats off to all you guys that work the games and many other events. Folks, it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of work. A lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes, pre and post production. And looking at Justin Berl's work here, it's a thrill to have him on here to show these beautiful images that he's shot for other outlets, including Getty now, which he's a consistent stringer for. I love this moment here. It's beautiful. And you know, it's just one of those moments that it's gorgeous. And obviously he grabbed a ladder and was standing on it. Tell us about this moment.
This is University of Pittsburgh, their football team. After every win, the player of the game goes over and directs the band to play the alma mater. I forget which one.
Okay.
I just happened to scroll over and just snap some frames of it. I originally didn't like it because I felt like I was shooting up his nose.
Right.
I kind of did.
Right.
But
no, I think you captured it brilliantly with the blue and gold colors and blue and yellow gold colors, the sky. I think the ladder actually, you know, you can't do anything about that. It's there, but adds that really weird element to the photo because, you know, and of course, you know, him directing the band, I think that's awesome, you know. So, you know, I used to work around so many greats, including Barton Silverman at the New York Times and G. Paul Burnett and many other greats that did so much sports photography and other things. And, you know, I ask you this because, you know, do you need an intimate knowledge of the sport to capture the moment so well? What's the number one thing that sports photography, you know, sports photographers have to, you know, be in sync with to get these great photos?
You don't need an intimate knowledge, but to have some knowledge of the game definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
Like with hockey, you know the puck's going to be coming at the goal,
right?
And you also know, like, you know, guys that like Sidney Crosby who will like try to use fancy moves like a spinorama and stuff to evade defenders,
right?
Like, know what certain players do helps, like I said with Sid or with someone like Patrick Hornquist, who's also on the Penguins. He goes right to the front of the net and he sits there and he gets the crap beat out of him by opposing defenders. But you know that's where he's going to go,
right?
And he's gonna shoot the puck within a foot of the crease,
right? So
depending on where your photo position is, like, you know that, like, if Hornquist is in front of the net, you know you're either gonna get a photo of him getting beat up by a defender,
right?
Or you're gonna get a photo of him deflecting a puck past the goalie. So, like, knowing what certain players do,
right,
is a big part of it.
Right. Well, Edward has a question here. Edward is one of the biggest fans of the show, and he is such a great supporter of the show. And I need Edward in the future, though, to write the captions, the questions just a little shorter because it won't actually even fit on Facebook. Edward's amazing. Justin, he's so in depth. Justin, your story about that first memory card being taken and used and the baseball game that followed really stuck out to me as a defining moment. As photographers, we all have these where we struggle with self-doubt. We hear from people we know that tell us maybe we are wasting our time, and then something occurs when we are convinced, where we are convinced what we do matters, and we do have the ability. Most importantly, we fall in love with what we do and we strive on. In these times, I think what he meant to ask afterwards was, what is your message, especially now? In these trying times to stay motivated with nothing going on right now? I mean, what are you doing mentally to stay like hopeful? And because I know it's been a drain not being able to do your work and everything else. I mean, what are you doing to keep yourself? Are you looking at a lot of archives? Are you looking at other photographers' work? What's, to keep yourself, the juices flowing somewhat,
I did do an update on my website.
Okay.
Right when this kind of first started.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of helped. I signed up. You and I have spoken about it. I did mentorship with Brad Smith.
Right. That's right.
Who kind of gave me a kick in the butt and kind of just said, like, kind of laid out a game plan of how to move forward.
Right. Well, shout out to Brad Smith, one of the great sports photo editors out there, who was my colleague at the New York Times, where I was a photo editor for the Wire service for over 15 plus years. And Brad and I know each other well, and he's an amazing sports photo editor who worked at the Times and then went on to work with Sports Illustrated, of course, as the director there, and now works with the WWE.
Yeah.
So, Brad's had a storied career, but more than anything, he's a great guy and helps so many photographers out there. Love him to death. My man, Brad Smith, shout out to him. But Justin, stay motivated, man, because your work is gorgeous stuff, man.
But back to that last question, I deal with self-doubt every day. It's part of the job description, so to speak. Like I deal with mental health issues. Like people that know me know, like I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, but you got to fight through it. Like,
right.
It's just, it sucks, but like what we do, like we're so single-minded that we shoot a game by ourselves a lot of times. Like we're so isolated that we need outside stuff. So I try to keep in touch with my friends a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The mental health aspect is something I'm big on. Like,
right.
You also need to have a break from sports. Like,
right.
If I'm home, I'm not watching a sports game. You're
with family, right? Yeah, I know you guys are big with family.
Yeah, either that or I know people are watching games, but I'd rather watch a movie.
Right.
Because I'm around sports so much that it's too much sometimes.
Right. I want to get to something here really special, because speaking of your family, I wanted to do this for you and your family, and I wanted to just let everybody know Justin's a big family guy. They're big sports fans, and your names are even outside. Is it the Met Stadium, correct?
Yes.
Right. In memory of Chuck Berl, God bless. Rest in peace. Your dad, the Berls, Chuck, Kathy, Thomas, my man Bobby, your brother, and Justin. I love it that you guys are there. But, Justin, thank you for sharing that, because, we all struggle with a lot of things, some much more with others. You're very brave and very, very strong for sharing that. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. And, your work speaks for itself, and so does your strength as a human being.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I mean that deeply.
but yeah, the Mets were a big part of my family. Like my dad was at the '69 World Series.
Right.
My Bobby and Tom were with my dad in '73
Mm-hmm.
at the National League playoffs and the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I get born, and they have to give up the season tickets at Shea. But yeah, and then in 2009 we got our own season tickets at
Right.
Citi Field and had them for 2 years until we moved away.
Well,
Yeah.
lots of memories, and I know your family is extremely proud of you and what you've accomplished and what you continue to accomplish. You know, one of the things I want to get to real quick is we have about 15 to 20 minutes to go. I wanted to talk to you about the incredible work, and this is where, you know, it takes some amazing skills and technical ability to learn how to set things up these days with remote cameras and remote work with hockey and other things. So I wanted to show this photo, and then we have some photos we're going to show of how you set things up sometimes. So talk about this, Justin.
Yeah, obviously, like I said before, I'm the team photographer for Robin Morris men's and women's hockey.
Okay.
I bought a Netcam housing. Bruce Bennett, who's one of my idols, who is the director of hockey photos for Getty Images.
Mm-hmm.
He was the team photographer for the Rangers, Flyers, Devils, and Islanders.
Okay.
He was the team photographer for 4 teams at the same time.
Right.
In like the 80s and 90s. He sells the housings. Yeah, and I bought one, and I just said to our media relations people at the team, I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. And they're like, sure, go ahead.
Right.
So yeah, I just, if it's a game where I'm going to do a net cam, I'll go to the rink a little earlier.
Right.
I'll have them I'll have the ice crew bring the net out on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll set it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'll focus my one of my Nikon D4s with a 15 millimeter fisheye. And I'll just make sure I have it all set up right with a Pocket Wizard remote trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I usually set it to focus at about the top of the goal crease, which you can kind of see between the goalie's legs.
Right.
And then it's basically just then from then on it's attached to the top of my camera, and it's just basically spray and pray. Hopefully that I make a picture.
Well, so let me ask you a question. Actually, first I want to acknowledge someone who just had a question if this will be recorded. I believe it was Steve. Steve asked if this will be recorded so you can see it all. He came in a little late. Yes, it is. It'll be on Facebook, Steve. It's on Twitter. And it will also be on the Spin It Social YouTube channel. I have a few shows I still need to upload, but definitely they will be up there by the end of this weekend. I'm planning on putting them all up there en masse. I think there's 6 left. But anyway, getting back to Justin, I wanted to ask you a question here, Justin. What does it take to hook the camera up hockey's a rough sport. What does it take for a camera to, okay, here's my question. What does it take for a camera to survive the beating that it must take?
The housing is like industrial it's plexiglass, almost like what they use for the actual glass on a hockey rink.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, hang on, let me grab it. I'll show you real quick.
Okay, we'd love to see it. Why not?
Yeah, this is...
Wow, look at this, folks. A real treat. Justin's showing you the goods here, man. Hold on, let me do a one shot on you so we could show this here.
Yeah, this is...
Wow.
This is the housing.
Okay.
It gets attached to the back of the goal with...
Holy mackerel.
...the clamp. And this comes off. And yeah, just the camera goes inside with your remote trigger, and then close up this waterproof thing, and
right.
that has been taken out by players going into the goal before. It's been hit where it's directly down at the ice.
Right.
And I can't do anything until the period ends.
Right. When the period ends, do you get to clean it? I mean, and wipe it off a bit?
Yeah, I usually go out and I'll wipe it off. Or
Okay.
if it's directed pointed down, I'll prop it back up. Or if it's completely out of whack, couple times it's been so messed up that I just unplug it and say, yeah, that's it for today.
Okay. Hey, let's see while we're going here if we have any more questions and hellos. Claudia Paul, actually, who's a guest next week, earlier said hello. And she said, shout out to Brad Smith. Awesome. She knows him too. Christopher Gorman was watching from New York City. Steve Roberts we know about. Mark Lee has another question that I saw. And Edward says, Claudia says, so impressive. She loves your work. And Edward was asking, amazing use of technology, views we would never get just a few years ago. Well done. It's very true that technology continues to evolve, right, Justin?
Yeah, technology continues to evolve, and it's also about creativity.
Right.
Like that's
so
that's, this not for basketball. I use that for basketball.
Basketball, right?
I'll keep it in front of me with a really wide angle. I think there's a 24 on there, just to kind of get maybe someone driving to the basket, or line up to do like a Michael Jordan, let's jump from the free throw line kind of dunk.
Right. Well, you know who's a big inventor of these? Peter De Silva, who I had on about 5 shows ago. Peter's a phenomenal photographer and tech guy, and he actually developed this type of technology.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Google him, Peter De Silva. I'll send you all of Peter's information. Brilliant mind, brilliant photographer that has given you guys the ability to do many of these shots. I threw this in here while we're talking technology too. Was this something you took, or was this a remote camera of all the teddy bears being thrown on the ring?
This was all me.
Okay.
Every year, women's hockey does a fundraiser for a different charity, but they do a teddy bear toss game where everyone who comes to the game brings a teddy bear or 2 or 3 or 4 or a dozen. And whenever after Rob Morris scores their first goal, you just start throwing the teddy bears, and then all the teddy bears get collected and get donated to a children's hospital.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome.
And yeah, this was this year's teddy bear toss game.
That's awesome, and you captured it. You captured it brilliantly.
You can see down in the middle frame, they're celebrating, and as the teddy bears are being tossed.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way you caught so many of them in mid-flight, and it looks like just this potpourri of it looks like almost a painting. Now they're all like photoshopped on there, but they're not. Yeah. And I love your hockey shots too. I love this team shot here from a high angle. As I always tell people, go high, go low, try extreme angles. You get some amazing things.
Yeah, this is another remote. I just decided to. I was like, let's put one over the goal today and hope that they score a goal.
No, great move.
I had 3 remotes set up at that game. I had one over the bench,
mm-hmm.
and I had 2 remotes. One over the bench, and then one pointed at the goal that they were shooting at twice.
Okay.
They lost the game, but they still scored a couple goals, so I was able to make some frames.
Right. Well, let's go through some of this other great work of yours, so we get it all through here. Another great shot of women's hockey. I love the intimate moments that you capture too. You're never, as I tell people as a photographer, and it's hard, especially with family and other things. I struggle with it sometimes, but as a photographer, you're never off. Really, you never turn it off.
No. This was 2018.
Right.
When the schedule came out, women's hockey was going to play the Minnesota Golden Gophers in Minnesota. I had never been to Minnesota.
Right.
And I just said to the coach, I'm like, I'd like to go on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I've been shooting for the team since 2017. And he was like, yeah, sure. He's like, not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go and I just I borrowed my buddy's Fuji camera.
Right.
It might have been like an XT1, and I just decided to just do. I kept all my other gear in the bag because it was just we were fine from Pittsburgh to Chicago, Chicago to Minnesota.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't want to mess around with too much stuff. So I just kept this little Fuji camera on me, and like I documented us getting on the plane, on the plane.
Yeah, man, that's a huge part of traveling with a team.
It was also during finals week, so like they're students before they're athletes.
Oh yeah,
in my eyes, and they were all trying to cram and get ready for their finals. And
taking advantage of every moment, and you capturing it beautifully, because I love this photo. It's just them being them in an airport. So Mark Lee has a great question just off the top of his head, and we'll just spit it out there. Do you have a favorite sports movie?
Ooh, that is rough.
That's a good question, Mark.
Great question, but it's tough.
Okay.
I'm partial to Slapshot.
Okay.
On the hockey side, I also love Miracle.
I'll always be partial to the Bad News Bears. But
Miracle's another one.
About
the 1980 Olympic ice hockey team.
I had to throw this in there for a memory for you of the good old 7 train going out to the old Shea Stadium, and what memories for your family there. Also, I want to encourage people to know that Justin, will be available. You can always touch base with him for his great portraits of fans and other things too. Love the way you captured this photo of this fan. It's a beauty.
Yeah, that's Sam. He used to be he used to work. He was one of the. I don't know if you ever at basketball, like people go out with the mops to kind of clean up after a guy falls on the court. Sam used to do that for Robert Morris. And then when he graduated high school, he asked me if I would take his senior pictures. So,
well, I love the way you captured the ball right between home and plate, right above the line there. Nothing's blocked out. It's just a great photo, beautiful portrait. You do beautiful work. Let's go through some of these other great moments that you've captured. We're just going to scroll through some of these so people can enjoy them. Love this. When I put on my uniform, I am the proudest man on earth. Who said it? You know it. Roberto Clemente.
Yeah.
And, what a legend. What a just an amazing player. God bless him. Rest in peace. Oh my God, Justin, I saw this photo. I used it for promo for the show. I love it. It's like, wow. It's like, you nailed this, man. I mean, it looks like he's walking on air.
Only thing that's missing is the home run ball. If the ball would have rolled down the hill right when he was doing it, it would have been perfect.
That probably would have been that little added, that sprinkle on the ice cream, as I say.
Yeah, that's Billy Hamilton running up the wall after a Pirate home run.
But I love all these odd moments. I had to show a bunch of these. I love this one. Now let's also quickly show this, and to show that it's not just one camera sometimes, folks. These sports photographers are setting up their cameras, other cameras with other photographers. They're all grouped together. I mean, look at this setup, man. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's the remote tree at PNC Park. Is
that what they call it? The remote tree?
That's what we call it.
Okay.
But yeah, there's the Associated Press has one of those cameras. Obviously one's mine.
Okay.
One is one of the other local papers.
Okay.
And I forget the other one.
Oh, just amazing. So I'm glad you called my attention to this, because this was captured by one of your remote cameras, right?
Yes. Yep. That was 2017. Andrew McCutcheon decided to try to jump over JT Realmuto.
Wow, what a shot, man.
I was taken with one of those remote cameras on that remote tree from that last frame.
Brilliant photo. Just what a moment. I love it to death. You are really something, Justin, and I know we're going to see a lot more from you to come at once things get started again. We will get through all this, buddy. And I love this moment too, because here you are. You're at the game. You got to capture these moments. This is beautiful. A guy painting at the game. I love it. Art never stops either.
I went upstairs it was a hot day. I just went upstairs just to do it, just to get a different angle. And I happened to see this guy painting the game, painting the ballpark.
Right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well done. Well done. Oh my God. I mean, instead of a Gatorade wash or bath, this guy got a bubblegum bath.
Well, that's what happens. First week in April here in Pittsburgh, it's still really, really cold. So rather than do Gatorade, is
that the reason? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I never knew that. See, now you learn something new every day.
Rather than do Gatorade, they did bubblegum.
Oh, what a gentle bunch they are. It changed my whole view of athletes with this one photo. They instead of dumping the guy with Gatorade and making him freeze, they actually said, "You know what? We're going to throw bubblegum on you." I'm only joking, of course, guys. I know that
now they make someone freeze.
Now they make someone freeze in this one. And this guy, and I hope they didn't ruin that expensive headset while they're at it. But and Batman shows up at some games, I see.
Yeah. A lot of teams do this. They'll do just random. When we leave town, we'll wear superhero outfits, or the Chicago Cubs a couple years ago did wacky suits.
Now, do they do this a lot for the kids that are waiting outside?
No, not really.
Okay.
They'll walk through this tunnel down and then get on their team bus.
Okay.
Not very many people see him, but this is, obviously that's Clint Hurdle, who was the manager of the Pirates.
And this has nothing to do with Halloween, by the way?
No, this was middle of the season.
Okay. Hey, like I always said, whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah, they did a superhero trip. Obviously,
I see
Frozone.
Bozo was at the game?
There was Frozone, Batman, Spider-Man. Someone was dressed up as Logan or Wolverine from X-Men.
Well, I got to tell you, nothing beats the moment, though, of capturing a child at a game with his hands clutched like that, just hoping that he gets to meet his players, that he's a big fan of. And I love the way you captured this, because also you got to love the moment of the girl next to him, the lady next to him saying, "I love you," and probably wants a date.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to love the contrast between the two. And also, it's all about the fans and capturing the beauty of the moments. And you do it so wonderfully from above and all different angles. Also, the fans that, wow, man, talk about memorializing and putting your love of the game on your body forever.
This frame, I go out to shoot batting practice, and I saw this guy standing there waiting for autographs, and I saw that tattoo, and I'm like, "You mind if I just get a picture of it?" He's like, "Sure."
That is a work of art, man. I'm telling you, man. I tell you. But also the fans that sit there during your Getty Images shoots. Shout out to Getty for keeping Justin employed, and he's a great photographer. You guys better use him well, because he's a great one. And the fans just sit for hours waiting for things sometimes. Yeah. In the rain, in the sun, in the rain, in the heat.
Rain delays are interesting, because you'll see the younger fans all run for cover. But then you'll see an older fan like that who'll just be like, "It's just rain. I'm just going to sit here and just wait."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. They're tough old dogs, as we say, right? Tough old dogs. No disrespect. But the other thing is also the beauty of the emotion, the raw emotion of the moments. I love volleyball. I love volleyball players, men and women. Such an emotional game. Yeah. Such great moments you capture.
Volleyball's great to get emotion like that. But it's extremely hard to photograph otherwise.
Yeah.
It moves so quick.
Yeah.
That it's probably the hardest sport to shoot, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay.
But but the emotion just totally makes up for it. Like,
Okay. Interesting. That's a challenge. Okay. Good. Well, Justin, I know you've been a photographer and in love with it for a long time, man.
yeah, that's 1988.
Wow. Look at that.
That was here in Pittsburgh for my brother Tom's when he graduated from Robert Morris.
And you know what? You've captured and you've kept the emotion all these years. Check you out. You know what?
Being silly with my Getty buddy Justin Berl.
Okay, it's all. I want to give him a shout out. Please do. I hope he doesn't mind that I showed this photo of you. But please tell his name again so everybody knows it well.
Justin Berl. He works for Getty here with me in Pittsburgh.
Okay, Justin, big shout out to you and your great work. And along with the fun times comes the moments. But tell me, you mentioned something about this photo to me before we went on the air, and tell everybody what you wanted to say about this photo.
This was just a random pop-up thunderstorm a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And like I said to you, like I'd love to look like that again right now.
I know, right? I know. That was
even though I look miserable and like desperately need a shave and a haircut. Well, actually, no, I don't think I need a haircut.
You look pretty good, even with the wet look there.
Now, but yeah, like just to be out there and working again, like I
know.
I'd sit and stand in rain delay right now just to be back.
It's a rough period, man. It's a rough period. But, there's so much that goes on, carrying the laptops around, carrying the computers around, being on the field. I know you miss it all right now, but I want to go through this other work, and then we're going to have to close this show out today. But you do beautiful portraits. Always remember, folks, this is all the gear they have to walk around with at some of these games. The laptop, 2 cameras, tripods, lenses. These guys work hard, and Justin and other sports photographers deserve a lot of credit. A lot of keep them in your minds for work in the future, please, because they need the work. We've been showing Justin's website and his Instagram handle. Follow him at Justin Berl Photo on Instagram. Be sure to follow his website at justinberlphotography.com. Please share this broadcast, and you see all of his brilliant work here and his portraits of athletes included. He can do beautiful portraits of you guys too, from amateur level on all the way up to pro level and beyond. But Justin, I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the show. But Steve Roberts saying great work, Justin.
Yeah, Steve's a great guy down in Kentucky.
Okay, shout out to Steve Roberts in Kentucky. Steve, thank you. And any other shout outs? I'm going to bring Jonathan on here for a second to let everybody know that this show does not happen alone, but that I'm going to take this off the screen for 1 second here, and I'm going to bring Jonathan on, who is my production assistant and I'm my co-producer. And Jonathan does a lot of work behind the scenes in driving the car. And Jonathan, say hello and tell everybody about yourself.
Hello. I absolutely love that photograph of the boxer with his hands wrapped.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's a beauty. It's a beauty. But Jonathan, a little word about yourself.
I am a full-time flaneur, a sometime writer, and I'm part-time tech.
That's right. Jonathan is amazing, and I'm so thankful to have him on the show as a co-producer. And he really hashes out the show with me every week, and we've made it so much better together. And, thank you, Jonathan, for driving the car behind the scenes, as I say. Although with you, Jonathan, I would say you'd probably rather be driving a motorcycle, right? You have a thing for classic motorcycles.
I have a thing for classic motorcycles, but actually sometimes this feels like driving a Zeppelin.
Okay. So anyway, Mark says, by the way, have you ever covered any college games? Those are often amazing. Yes. Right, Justin, you have. And I live near – wait, hold on. Let's put that one back for a second. I live near a HBCU.
Historic Black College, probably.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that, Mark. I apologize deeply. And some of the photos at those events are amazing.
Yeah, NCAA college sports are a big part of my client base. Like I said, I'm the team photographer for 2 NCAA hockey teams. I shoot a lot of University of Pittsburgh football for Getty. Basically, whenever college teams come in, like the last 2 years, we've had NCAA volleyball championships, NCAA wrestling championships, NCAA Division II soccer, men's and women's. The last 2 years, I've shot the national championship team for men's in 2018.
Wow! And
Barry University, and then this year I shot for the women's national champion team, Grand Valley State University.
Okay. Well, let me throw up your website once again. Jonathan, thank you for being on and introducing yourself and letting everybody know about being the co-producer. I appreciate it. Love having you as my co-producer, man. Hold on a second. So thank you, Rob. Thank you, Bobby. Sorry, great job for the both of you. Bobby, my man.
You probably just got out of bed.
It's okay.
He asked, he's like, is this going to be taped? Because I'm not going to be up at 10 o'clock in the morning.
He put in his years on the job, man. He deserved his rest. So one of the things I wanted to do real quick in closing is once again mention your website, Justin Berl Photography. Everybody, please check out all his work on college sports too. I salt and peppered this show with a lot of it, but there's only so many photos that I can show on one show. Check his website out. Great work. Hire this man in the future now for portraits at a physical distancing level, however he can do it. Other things, I know a lot of photographers are doing that type of work. Hit Justin up. Check him out. Make sure he gets work now in the future. Remember him, please. He's a great photographer, a workhorse, and a great guy, and he's a good friend. And I thank you, Justin, for being on the show, buddy.
Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I wouldn't have done without it. So I'm going to do a little promo work. Brad Smith, great job, guys. Hi to Justin. There you go. Shout out to my man Brad and his wife Jenna McClure and their beautiful family. So Justin, hang on behind the scenes for a minute. I'm going to do some promo work, and I want to talk to you for a minute, okay?
Not a problem.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, so folks, my name is Stephen Kaplan. This has been the Spin It Social Hour. I thank you for being here. I hope you've enjoyed Justin's work. I know you have, and all his stories. What a treat that was to see the actual housing and how he sets up the cameras at hockey games and other things with all of those incredible remote cameras and that remote work. So I'm going to close out the show here with some work that I need to do to let you know about a few things. The number one thing is next week's guest, which is Claudia Paul. I am thrilled to bring on this photographer and new friend of mine, Claudia Paul. I was introduced to her, and this is why I love social media, folks. One of the things about doing this is it's the natural evolution of social media by live streaming and doing all this work around social media. And here we are to stay with the Spin It Social Hour. I love getting these photographers' names and work out there. It's my passion. I want to help them out. I want to help our photo community. Claudia is an amazing photographer who's done a lot of traveling, especially to India, does a lot of work with big hospitals here in New York, and I can't wait to have her on. Check her out, Claudia C. Paul on Instagram. But she'll be on next week, and I can't wait to have you on, Claudia. Peter De Silva, who was a guest and who I talked about on the show, one of the photography greats out there, introduced me to Claudia because she was the one that took the photo of the promo that I used for Peter back when he was on. And thank you for letting me use that, Claudia. You're brilliant, and I can't wait to have you on and get to know you more and more as the show and our friendship continues to evolve. So, and then the other thing I want to mention is if you guys want to learn a lot about social media, besides with me, of course, is my man Sri Srinivasan, my dear colleague. We work hand in hand on so many projects. Sri with the great Muck Rack, and their Muck Rack Academy has the fundamentals of social media for journalists, PR pros, and everyone, folks, from kids to adults. Sign up now at mrac.co/social, hashtag MRA Social. Get social media certified with Sri and Muck Rack. And then finally, I want to tell you about the read along tomorrow with Sri. as we go on the last 15 minutes here over, but today was an exception for Justin. Sri's Sunday NYT Read Along. It's our NYT Read Along family where Sri brings on incredible guests from around the world every week. This week, wow, Trish Hall, former editor of the New York Times op-ed page. This is going to be a great one, folks. The op-ed page is legendary. Sri and NYT Read Along is legendary. And so is our NYT Read Along family. Sri, we all love you. And you're one of the amazing people out there who keeps bringing us all together, as I've continued to do too in many ways. And what a great show. So I'm going to now say goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Tim, for saying that Justin is an amazing photographer. He is. And Brad Smith, Claudia is awesome. Can't wait. Another shout out for Claudia next week. Prodnia says, hi from Silver Springs. We'll close out the show with all the shout outs. That's the way to do it. I love it. So thank you for your attention, folks. Thank you for your time. And be well, and see you next week here on the Spin It Social Hour. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.